Now, if you look at the definition of a small business, which is, most people use the definition that has been put out by the National Federation of Independent Businesses. That's the NFIB says that a small business is a small business a business that has 10 or fewer people and sales of about $500,000 a year. Not according to the CFPB. They want to cast the net as far and wide as they can. Their definition of a small business will almost double that.
What?
More than double that. They say a small business is a company with $5 million in revenue or less from the previous fiscal year.
Wow.
Not 500,000, 5 million. So this is going to throw the net of government much, much wider than Congress ever intended. But the second and most egregious thing that CFPB has done,
CFPB,
they took our 13 pieces of information that we asked for by Congress, and they have expanded it to 81. All of a sudden they want a book. Now, here are some examples of what the CFPB is going to require small banks to ask of small business women and small businessmen when they come to the bank and ask for a loan. The bank has to ask the small business person how long it's been in business. That's fair. The bank has to ask the small business woman or small business man about its annual revenue. That's fair. The bank, but then it gets a little intrusive. It gets a lot intrusive. The bank has to ask the small business woman or small business man what their race is. The bank has to ask the small business person about their ethnic background.
Right.
The small bank has to ask the small business person if he's a male.
Mm.
The bank has to ask the small business person if she's a female. Should be obvious to many, but those questions have to be asked. The bank has to ask the small business person if that person is a lesbian.
Wow.
The bank has to ask the small business person if that person is gay.
What does that got to do with a small business?
Ask that small business person if that small business person is bisexual. The small bank has to ask its customer, that small business person, if that small business person is transgender. The bank, according to the CFPB, has to ask that small business person who is applying for a loan, just came in for a loan for the business, if that person is, quote, queer. The small bank has to ask that small business person if the small business person is intersex.
What? It's gone too far.
And not only does the bank have to ask those private questions of the person from the small business applying for the loan, the person applying for the loan on behalf of the small business has to bring in every one of its owners who own 25% or more. And the bank's got to start over with those people. Are you a male? Are you a female? What's your race? Tell me about your ethnic background. Are you a lesbian? Are you gay? Are you bisexual? Are you transgender? Are you, quote, queer? Are you, quote, intersex? Give me a break.